we're live. Today I have here Olivia Cardarelli. Hey, Olivia, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. So, I'm pretty sure that some of your friends know all about how you are so into health and fitness. I want you to share to the listeners just your story, how you got into nutrition, how you got into fitness.
Well, it's a loaded question, but it's one of my favorite questions because it really is a true passion of mine. And I don't think I'd have this passion unless I had the circumstances that I've been in. So, growing up, I have always had a healthy lifestyle. I grew up where my mom gave us kashi cereal instead of Honey Nut Cheerios,
Yeah.
carrot sticks instead of Twizzlers. Like that was just the way it was. So I grew up with always eating very healthy and being active and having two older brothers that did sports. I did sports and I always just was interested in it. So as time went on, I was in high school and I actually went on a trip to Italy. And you can imagine I'm eating a bunch of dairy, gelato, pizza, everything. And when I came home, I just had a really adverse reaction to everything that I was eating. And I kind of was like, okay, maybe this is a point in my life. Like, I've gone through puberty. Now I need to figure out what my body needs, whatever. So I eliminated dairy from my diet because I thought I just had so much of it. Maybe my body can't handle it anymore, so and so. So I cut dairy out and I felt great. It was the summertime. I was eating like a ton of fresh fruit, not a lot of dairy, and I just was on a roll. So after I eliminated dairy, I was like, oh, maybe I can eliminate more. So I just started eliminating everything and I kind of became like a runaway train. And the summer had ended and I started my junior year of high school. And you can only imagine that junior year of high school is probably the hardest year of high school for many of us.
It
And
is.
because of that, all these AP classes and everything, like I was having such a hard time controlling like what grades I was going to get. And coming from a person that is very much a perfectionist, I was struggling with this idea that I didn't know what was going to happen. SAT scores, college applications, all this stuff. But I did know that I could control how much I was running on a treadmill, how much I was running outside, how much calories I was putting into my body, and so forth. So I had an obsession with controlling all of the things that you would consider healthy, and it became unhealthy. So with this, I started experiencing a lot of anxiety, and I was like, what is going on? I never had anxiety before. Like, what? I have no idea. And I became really irritable and moody, and I'm like, this is like the best time of like a kid's life, and why do I feel this way? So I said to my mom, I'm like, Mom, I am really anxious. I hate taking tests, all this stuff. So she went to my guidance counselor, who I was really, really close with. And she was like, Olivia, I really think she needs like extra time on her tests. That's simply what she needs. She needs a 504. And a 504 is like accommodations for students. So if like some students need it, if like they have to go to the nurse's office, or if they like needed time to like get a break from class or whatever. For
Okay.
me, I just wanted like extra time on my test because I had major test anxiety.
Okay.
So in order to get my 504, I had to go to my pediatrician. So it was December 11th, 2016, and I got picked up from school and I went with my mom to my pediatrician, CHOP, right in Bryn Mawr. So you may be familiar with that area.
Yeah.
And I had to take this. I don't know if you've ever had to take like one of those exams at your pediatrician that's like, are you happy? Are you anxious? Are you depressed? Like, are you going to kill yourself? Literally, like these types of questions. And I took the thing and I failed it because I was majorly depressed. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, no, I'm not. I was so confused. So I go into the back with my doctor and she's like, your heart rate is at 44 and you've lost 60 pounds in 6 months. What is going on? And I was like, I'm just the healthiest kid alive. Like, I'm vegan, I run 10 miles a day, like I have the endurance of like an Olympian. Like this was just that like invincible mindset that I thought that I
Yeah.
had. And so without her much more talk. She said to me, she's like, if you don't go to CHOP today, you have 2 weeks to live. And after when those 2 weeks happen, you may just fall to the ground and die because your heart rate is so low. And I was like, I, I was so boggled by this. So I was by myself and I walked out and I said to my mom, I'm like, well, me with my irritable attitude, I was like, we have to go to CHOP or something because like I'm gonna die soon. And my mom was like, what the heck? Like, so confused. So my mom runs into the doctor's office and she's like, my dog's at home, my husband's on a business trip, like I have like mom things to do, like whatever. And so my doctor was like, Dale, who's my mom, if you don't take Olivia to CHOP, like I'm calling Child Protective Services.
Mm,
Like this is how crazy this was. So time goes on and I obviously had to go to CHOP.
yeah.
So when I get to CHOP that evening, I am connected to heart monitors. I'm set up the whole, they were going to put me on the telemetry unit, but they didn't have enough places for me.
Yeah.
They hadn't deemed that I had an eating disorder yet, so they weren't going to put me there. So they put me on like the child neurology unit that kind of like the Misfits went to, kind of like the extra floor. And so, not 3 weeks was I in CHOP, but I was in there for 11 days. And with that, I was diagnosed with 2 eating disorders. So, one was anorexia, and then the other one, orthorexia, which I'll get into.
Okay.
I was very malnourished, and I was also diagnosed with anxiety. And I was put on a 4,000 calorie diet consisting of whole milk and hamburgers and tuna fish sandwiches and everything that I just not a fan of. And coming from a girl that's literally, I know this sounds so dramatic, I'm like afraid of mayonnaise. Like I don't know what it is. I don't like the way it looks. Like they gave me my first meal was a tuna fish sandwich with mayonnaise and whole milk. I'm like, okay, you know that I came in here vegan. You know I hate mayonnaise. So why is this? It was just like it was a meme. Like I felt like I was just living this whole world that made no sense to me. So time went on, like I said, and I learned a lot being in there. And I learned the idea of nutrition and how imperative it is to a growing body and especially a growing female body. And I was asked so many questions like, do you still have your period? Which no, I had lost for a year and a half. And
Wow.
things that you should not have happened to you when you're growing up. And for someone that, yes, my biggest goal is to become a dietitian when I'm older, my second next goal is I want to be a mom so badly.
Oh,
And I almost had that taken from me because of my stupid ways of me thinking I knew so much and really not knowing anything.
yeah.
So it was just like my whole world was flipped upside down because of decisions that I made to think that I was trying to be better to fit this society mold that just was not in any way healthy.
Mhm.
And that really goes into the idea of like an abundance versus scarcity mindset, which is something that really stands out to me and has been of comfort to me. But a scarcity mindset like really leads you to so much comparison and negativity and leaving you like feeling less than, when really if you think about it you have such more of abundance in your life. Like
Yeah.
you are living, you are healthy, you have the capability to do anything. And when you like shift your mindset into being more of look what you have in abundance versus look at what is scarcity, you are so much more fulfilled. So for
Yeah.
me, I limited everything. And so that goes into the idea of what orthorexia is. So, orthorexia, the beginning part, ortho, means right. So, think like an orthodontist, they make your teeth right. Or,
Yeah.
so then you have the exia part of it, which is the disorder. So, it really means like the right disorder. In that sense, you are trying to make everything perfect and what is deemed right. So when you think about it in terms of food, you only think of and consume foods that you think are acceptable or what's right. So you eliminate the bad things. But how do you name those bad things? What is bad? Food is food. So
Yeah.
why do you think that some foods are worse than others? And that goes into that nutrition mindset of what is more nutrient dense and what is healthier for you and what is going to make your body feel the best. So I thought dairy was bad. Okay, gone. Then I thought meat was bad. Okay, gone. Then I thought that refined carbs, gone. See ya. And then it got to the point of it was terrible, because as a vegan, how are you supposed to supplement what you're eating and get enough protein and enough fats? And
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
me, I always thought like the fat that I eat is the fat that I wear. So I'm not going to eat avocados, and I'm not going to eat nuts, and I'm not going to eat peanut butter that's all organic. Like, I'm not going to do these things because they're just not healthy for me.
Wait, you
And
decide not to eat like avocados, like peanuts and all
yeah,
that. Oh,
gone.
wow.
So then you're like, okay, so then what were you eating? If I
Yeah.
was not eating anything and I'm vegan, which, like, okay, really, what are you eating?
Like,
Since
could you like piece it together like what you were eating at the time?
Yeah, you can ask any one of my friends that my favorite snack was romaine lettuce with yellow mustard drizzled on it. And I thought that was like the best tasting food in the world. And then like add a sweet potato in it, and like that was, oh my gosh, like 5-star meal. Like, this is how convoluted my mind was.
Yeah.
And I was afraid that if I didn't eat at a certain like if I ate at 8:01 at night, I was unhealthy. And if
Mhm.
I didn't exercise at a certain time, like, then I had to eat so much later. And I just adopted these like really restrictive and abnormal thoughts.
Mm.
And so, with that being said, as I now have really recovered from it, I have noticed that everyone needs something different, and we all too are different in ourselves. And
Yeah.
with that being said, I had so many friends that were like, "Oh my gosh, Olivia, like, you look great. You can run so much. Like, how are you doing it?" And at first, like, that gave me a boost, like, "Oh, well, I'm vegan, I'm this and I'm that." And then I thought to myself, it's like, if you like eating meat, why are you cutting that out? If you like eating really great, like, the types of dairy that you have, of like grass fed and really just humane kinds of dairy,
Yeah.
then eat it. And that is what your body needs. And like, your intuition doesn't lie when it comes to that. And it's really a lesson that, like, plant-based might work for me and provide me with energy, but it's not going to provide the next person with energy. Just like
Absolutely.
eating red meat doesn't give me energy, but it gives you amazing energy. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
And so when we try and fit these molds of like what is right for our body, we have to really do the research, because people try and adopt these lifestyles that are so unattainable, and because they think it's healthy for them, and they think like this is great, and they really don't know why they're doing it or what they're doing it for, and then they become malnourished. And it's, when I say your intuition doesn't lie, when you're constantly thinking about food, or what you're going to put into your body next, or what am I going to eat later in the day, or oh, I ate this today so I can't eat this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever made food that complicated. It's never been that way. Like, why is it that way now? And going into like the idea of what I want to do, and kind of circle back to where you came from, of like why I want to do what I want to do. So I love functional medicine. And when it comes to functional medicine, there's this man who's a dietitian that I love, and his name's Dr. Mark Hyman. I don't know
Oh,
if you've
yeah.
heard
I love that guy too.
Yeah.
He's good.
So when it comes to functional medicine, I mean, you're familiar, but not everyone is. It's really focusing on the whole system of like your whole body and the root causes, not just, oh, the symptoms that you have, and oh, what do you feel today? Like, why do you have that migraine? And why are you getting ulcers in your stomach? And
Mm.
why are you losing your period? And all of these types of things that nobody asks, but they just mask with, oh, you have an eating disorder. But like,
Yeah.
why? What was the mental and physical way that I got there? And so with functional medicine, you spend time with patients and like looking at their histories and looking at their genetics and the environment and lifestyle, so you can generate long-term prevention, but also identify like what are the health issues that people face.
Mhm.
And you use food as medicine. Like, food, when it was created all the way back when God created food, he
Yeah.
didn't put additives and preservatives. He didn't do any of this. He wanted Adam and Eve to be plant-based, and then when the flood happened, then people started eating meat, but that's a whole other story. So
Yeah.
there's the whole controversy with people being plant-based and everything. But with that being said, like, food is your medicine. So eat plant foods, eat healthy fats, eat sustainable proteins and meats and things that make your body thrive. And I love what he says. He says there's no such thing as junk food. There's junk and there's food. And when you realize like what you're putting into your body, when you think like, oh, I'm eating Oreos and I'm eating Doritos and crappy ice cream, whatever it is, that's junk. But I will say, when you have such a scarcity and restrictive mindset, you have to remove that, because in order for you to recover, you have to realize that you can't label food as good or bad, because then when you put it into your body, you think it's good or it's bad for you. Rather think to yourself, okay, I put that into my body. That wasn't the healthiest thing I could have done.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next meal that I choose, I'll put something better, you know?
Yeah.
And it gives you grace when you do this for yourself, because I mean, faith has been such a pivotal part of my recovery, and it's something very strong in my life. And I think that when I realized that you you are who you are, and why are you changing the creation that you are? And so before you ask me my next question, like, I just want to leave you with something that really has helped me through this whole time and is applicable to anyone, not just girls who have eating disorders. It can be applicable to men that are struggling with body dysmorphia and trying to compare themselves to the best bodybuilder there is, or whatever it may be. And you really need to like fix yourself on the real place and where our value comes from. And for me, that's God. And so in the first book of Corinthians, chapter 6, verses 19 through 20, I have it written down just so I don't mess it up. But it says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own body. You are bought at a price. Therefore, glorify God with your body."
Mm.
So next time you want to put something in your body that's not the healthiest or not the greatest, think of your body as a temple. What you're putting in, do you want that to come out? So putting what you know is what's right for you, and what is going to give you the most amount of energy, and what is right for me, Olivia, is not right for you, Fermi. So you need to think about this, because why discredit the creation that God has given you, and why disrespect such a beautiful creation that is? So when you think about how nice you're treating yourself, like, always remember, like, you were created so beautifully, and you're bought at a price. So respect
Yeah.
that, and really like take that home next time you're not the greatest to yourself, or you're not doing the best for yourself.
Yeah. I really love what you just said. Like, it, there's so many lessons in that. So many lessons. And I'm sure you're not the only person who has dealt with a certain
Absolutely.
issue. Like I went through a certain time, like just a little year ago, with like I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting. But with intermittent fasting, I think one thing people forget to tell you is the fact that you need to load up in calories the time when you're eating. And I was getting about like 900 calories in, and I was working out, weightlifting, and I, I never struggled with anxiety before ever since that, my body has been messed up. I'm still to this day, even though I fixed everything on intermittent fast, I eat. I created more of a better relationship with food, right? And it's still, my anxiety is still there, and it puts a mark on you. That sort of thing. Everything we do has a consequence, good or bad. Like, yes, like it made me insulin sensitive from doing all that, like fasting, but I was malnourished beyond anything. Like I felt fatigued. I have no energy. I had no energy, and like I kept telling myself this is the right thing to do because, our ancestors didn't eat that much food all the time. But I didn't, at that time, I was so like, the specific people I was reading their books of and like watching videos of, they weren't really going into details. And also, I forgot to be objective because I'm normally an objective person. I forgot to be objective, and I noticed that they were they were never like, they were just set in their ways. You understand? Like, this is the only thing. One, it fits every single person. And I'm just like, does it really? Like, after I started like fixing my like I it, it was a hard it was really hard to get back up, and I didn't like go to the doctors or anything. It was just like, I just woke up one day, I was like, I feel like crap. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do this. I can't do this at all. And even now, just like eating more and everything, like I think my metabolism is like increased and it's gotten better. And I've noticed how much I am hungry. Like, I need more food.
Well, going off of that and the idea of anxiety, that was so prevalent to me and something that I really learned. When you starve your stomach, you're not just starving your stomach, you're starving all of your organs, you're starving your brain, which is so much of everything.
Yes.
And when you don't provide the proper nutrients, your brain's not going to function right. And your serotonin levels are going to be so low. And the dopamine in you is just at zero, and you wonder, like, why am I not happy? Why am I anxious? Why don't I feel? Why is what used to bring me happiness not bringing me any form of
Yeah.
validation or anything? And when you just deplete your body of the nutrients and you become malnourished, your metabolism slows down more than anything, and you think like, oh, I keep losing weight and I keep losing weight and I'm becoming toned and I'm becoming strong. And it's like, no, you're losing weight because you're not eating anything. You're
Yeah.
not losing weight because your body is taking that, reacting, and using your metabolism to help you. It's
Mm.
doing that because nothing is in you and you're just starving.
Yeah.
And also, too, when it comes to your metabolism, there's so many. My biggest piece of advice, my favorite meal of the day, whatever it is, just put something in your body in the morning. Because if you wait and wait and wait until your first hunger cue, now, I mean, I really am so much of an advocate of intuitive eating. So when I wake up, I'm really never hungry. But I know that if I'm up for 2 hours, like, drink a smoothie, drink something that's already helped me digest, already broken down, but put something in my body so then I can go run at 12 o'clock, whatever it is.
Yeah.
When you don't put something in your stomach in the morning, or 2 hours after you wake up, or shortly after your body has already started going, your hunger cues are eliminated and your metabolism doesn't start. So if your stomach doesn't start growling, that's not normal. Your stomach is supposed to growl when you're hungry. And
Yeah.
if you deplete yourself and you ignore those hunger cues, your stomach's not going to growl, you're not going to eat, and then your metabolism is just going to say, all right, I don't care about you because you don't care about me. And
Mm.
it's just going to stop working. And so when people say, when doctors say, when magazines, when Instagram says, like, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, like, make sure you eat it, like, they're not just saying that just to sell the idea of it. They're saying that because if you don't eat breakfast or you don't put something into your body, you're going to just set yourself up for failure for the rest of the day. And then
Yeah.
you're going to eat more later in the day, or you're not going to get proper nutrients. And so if you put something in the early part of your day, then your hunger is going to be more normal as the day progresses.
Like, I like what you said with the whole, like, our food is kind of like, well, there's junk food, right?
Mhm.
It's either junk or food, right? So in the morning, like, I started adopting this whole thing where, like, I try to take in as much micronutrients in the morning as possible.
Wonderful.
And ever since I started doing that, like, even before, when I had like a better relationship with food before I started fasting, like, I've never felt this good now. Like, I just, I love, I'm a big egg guy. Like, I put eggs every morning. I just can't miss it. I put eggs in there, and it's not even like I don't even have it stored like, because a complete set of amino acid or anything. No, it's just, first of all, it makes me feel energized. I have strength the whole day from it. And like, I like how you said that, like, what you eat in the morning really defines like your whole day. That's important because it's like also what you do in the morning defines your whole day. If you spend your whole morning just watching a movie, you're gonna want to just be lazy the whole day, you know?
Like, sets
Yeah.
yourself up for the rest of the day. And establishing a good morning routine. I mean, I'm such a morning routine like person. I love the morning.
Mm.
I would rather wake up at 7 in the morning than go to bed at like 1 a.m. Like I just operate better in the early part of the day versus later.
Okay.
And when I have a strict in the sense that I follow routine, not strict in the sense that if I can't accomplish that one thing in the morning, like I I hate myself because I've been there. I have been in that if I don't run 10 miles today, I have failed myself. Like I am
Jeez.
the worst person in the world. If
Uh,
maybe for you, if I was supposed to fast until 12 or 2 o'clock and I got hungry at 11:30 and I ate a banana, like, oh my gosh, my whole world is falling apart. I'm like, these there's so much like why do we have these rules? No one ever like when the 10 commandments were made, like nothing on that says that like you have to wait until 12 o'clock to eat and
yeah.
you can't eat past 8 o'clock. Like none of these you have to run 10 miles a day. Like none of nothing is nothing that we manifest in our head that's right unless it is something that we have been given like medical guidance for it to be that it's going to help us in some way. Like not all of us are medical professionals, so like why do we think that this is going to be like the next best thing for us?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean by that? Like what are those food rules? Like who came up with them and like why have we adopted them and why do we have such a bad relationship with food? Like when food was made, it was to be eaten, not for anything else, you
Yeah.
know?
And like it makes like not even asking the question like who set these rules or anything. I think it's more like a more important question right now is like why do we do this? And like I know this kind of goes in your head sometimes. Like, you think about this a little bit. Like, do you think it's just because of the way our generation is structured? And it's certain, like, okay, so I have this thing where I believe that it's because of the fact that we have so much information out there, right? And normally, back in the day, people see food, they eat the food. They don't see food, they don't eat, all right? But here we have so many information about this and that. And like also, like, you have like a judge itself, like, you know, the judge of beauty, like, this is the perfect looking girl and this is the perfect looking guy that can get all the girls. And then we take that judge, insert that ideal in our heads, and then it's like, oh yes, if we're not there, we're not anything. So I feel like with that, like we just sort of took all these information. We don't know how to just like I believe we have way too much information in this world.
You're
Like
not
it
yeah.
gets so clustered in there, and then like I have a few friends that have like really hard relationships with food, and it's not because of the food, it's because of what they're like listening to and hearing
Mhm.
on the internet, right? Or like maybe also a big thing is like family. Like family could shove it down your throat that you have to eat this way. If you don't, like you're nothing, like you're imperfect and stuff like that. And then as kids are, they will just want to rebel. They don't want to like if someone shoves out something down your throat, are you really gonna want to do it? Like most people would not want to do it as if they're younger, because that's how we function. So like,
Yeah, saying like if your friend were to jump off a bridge, would you, you know?
oh
Like it goes back to that, like your mom saying that to you, like trying to keep you out of trouble. Like, well, if he did that, are you going to do that? No, like you wouldn't. You just wouldn't, to protect yourself, you know?
it's tough. And like food addiction is one thing, and then we see like also in social media and like where we find all information. we see that there's also like major exercise addiction,
Yeah.
which creates body dysmorphia, which is, I think, one of the worst things because it just affects us so much. Like, I think that there's a spectrum now. It's not even like it doesn't affect you or it affects you. Like, it's a spectrum now, it seems like. To a point, it affects you. And then some people, it's like, it's up there, right? So,
Mhm.
like, have you ever experienced something or like maybe with like a friend or about like exercise addiction, like body dysmorphia? Like, how can you, how best to, what's it called? Um, just talk about this, how best to fix this issue.
So I have experienced this myself, and I can say that I've experienced this with many people in my life. And with that being said, I think that there comes a point where there's a fine line where you exercise to be stronger, and you exercise because God gave you the gift to move your body in a healthy way and to grow and to become stronger. And then the other side of the spectrum is exercising because you feel like you have to, or I need to do this next thing because everybody else is doing it. And
Yeah.
I may hate doing this, but because she looks great, I have to do that. Or I'm going to the gym and I'm showing up and I can only bench 150, but the guy next to me, he shows up 3 days a week and he can bench 300.
Mm.
And so you use this comparison of just negativity and you create exercise as an idol and you idolize this idea of going to the gym and you went in there and you kicked butt for 45 minutes and you walk out and you're sweating, your endorphins are flowing, your adrenaline is just like, you're freaking out. And then it's like you go in and sometimes you are there for an hour and 30 minutes and you barely broke a sweat. And you think that that is less than when you were doing something else. And it's in a society that when you said there's so much more information, okay, you and I both were wearing this dumb thing on our wrist that probably dictates a lot of our happiness. And
Yeah, it does.
may just, I mean, it's not just me because I can tell you stories that I had an Apple Watch and I hated that thing and I wanted to throw it out. And I thought it doesn't calibrate my calories right. It doesn't treat me well. My heart rate's higher than that, all this stuff. Okay, throw that one out. I'm going to get a Garmin. Got my Garmin, went for a 7 mile run, burned like 300 calories. I'm like, a 7 mile run? I burned more than 300 calories. And then I dictated my run that I felt amazing when I was running, that it wasn't good because my watch said that it wasn't good. And
Jeez.
so when you think like your exercise is dependent on someone else or your watch and you idolize this just idea that is supposed to be healthy and movement is supposed to be good. And when they said to us like you have to move 60 minutes a day to be healthy, like I'm sorry, that's a lie. If you move 30 minutes a day and you break a sweat and your heart rate rises and you are feeling great, then you moved your body today. And if tomorrow you run 5 miles and the like week before you can only run four, like you go because that's amazing. And
Yeah.
when it comes to this idea of exercise addiction and body dysmorphia, it's like the people that I love so, so much who suffer from this, me included in that, it's like, why do we base our success and validation off of how many miles we can run or how much we can lift? When you were younger, like think about a time when you were younger and like it was a basketball game or a soccer game or you were running with cross country or playing in the backyard with your friends and like you came inside and you were like sweaty and dirty and like muddy and you just had so much fun and like that was your exercise. You
Yeah.
didn't think like, oh, that wasn't enough, like I have to run 5 miles like as a 7
So true. That's
like,
so
you
true.
never thought that. You never even woke up thinking like today I'm gonna work out. And if I don't work out, like I suck.
Huh.
Like, when did that shift happen? Like, was it high school where like you were allowed to get a gym membership and then you were comparing the people at the gym and who was going to the gym and who wasn't?
Mm.
And then like the girls in college, like who went to Soul Cycle and who didn't, and who went to bar class and who didn't, or wow, I did Squattober and I'm like the best of the best. And like you think about it, and I say that like as a joke because someone's probably be watching this that will laugh at that. But like
Squat.
I say that because like when did movement become something we had to do versus something that we like when we enjoy doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And why are we doing movement that we don't like? Why are you running if you hate running? Why are you lifting if you hate lifting? Why are you like dance in your room for like 20 minutes and break a sweat and you'll like feel amazing, and that can be your workout.
Yeah.
Like do meditative yoga as your movement, and when you listen to your body and you start to perform intuitive exercise, you will get more results than you ever thought that you will, because when you push and you push and you push and you do exercises that hurt your body when you're
Yeah.
tired and your arms are sore, but I'm going to do a push day. Like, why are you doing that?
Mhm.
Because your routine said, like, oh, Monday's legs, I have to do legs on Monday. Like, no, if your legs hurt, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because when you don't listen to your body, you're not focusing on the whole system. You're not just honoring what your body can do for you. And although you're trying to do something healthy, your body dysmorphia is this negative voice in your head that is telling you such false things. When
Mm-hmm.
you pass a mirror and every time you look in a mirror, you look at yourself just to validate if you lost progress or you changed. And we all do it. There's not one of us that doesn't, because we all have mirrors in our house that we all sit there and pick out our flaws and imperfections. But
Yeah.
why do we look in the mirror and you had an amazing, amazing workout, and like you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm not strong enough. Like my body just doesn't look right. Like,
Mhm.
why don't you look in the mirror and be like, oh my gosh, like I crushed my workout. Like, look at my muscle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
wow, I have more definition than I did last week. Like when you reshift your thoughts and reframe them into something of an abundance mindset, here we go again, and you see what I'm capable of doing and what my body just provided me, and wow, I like got up and my body just did that. Like, oh, thank you. Like, honor your body
Mm.
versus being like, I'm not good enough. Like, I should be able to lift more, and I need I need all the gains because that's what's going to give me so much happiness in life. And when you shift your mindset, you shift everything. And I say this with so much love in my heart. My dad has said to me since I was a little girl, change your thinking, change your life. And when you change your thinking, you simply can change your life,
Mhm.
because what you used to view as negative and what you change and you view as idols, and you idolize a certain look or you idolize a certain diet and whatever it may be, a certain material item, if you change it to say, you know what, I honor God and God is the highest point for
Yeah.
me, and you say, thank you, God, for allowing me to move for 30 minutes. Thank you, God, for providing me with healthy fats and avocado and amazing guacamole on top of like whatever with tortilla chips. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for that. And you are appreciative rather than looking at what you don't have. Because
Yeah.
in a time of right now, we have so much to be thankful for versus about thinking like, what could be, or I could be this. Like, in times of COVID right now, we're healthy. Like that should be enough. We're
Yeah.
not sick. We hopefully, I pray that none of us do, but like hopefully that is, you don't have COVID. You're able to walk, you can breathe, you can taste amazing healthy foods. Like
Mm.
that's what we should be grateful for, not wow, I didn't run enough today or I didn't lift enough, because you may have a time in your life where you're not going to be able to run that much and lift that much. So that should be sufficient now.
Mm. It's remarkable what you just said. Like my mind just stopped at the part where like you said that like when we were kids we could just go out and play with our friends or just go out like sometimes just go out in the dirt pile and just mess around there, move around, just start throwing stuff, move around. I'm just doing whatever. And
Yeah.
like, I didn't go back to my room like, all right, what's my heart rate? I think we did well. All right, cool, cool. No, I
Yeah.
never did that. I
You
just,
mm-hmm.
I felt like it. I was like, okay, I felt like it was, I think as we got older, we forgot. Like there's this book I love, and it's a French book, and it's The Little Prince, and it as a quote, it's like, um, I'm gonna paraphrase this, but it goes something like this: like as we grow older, we forget that we were once children, like, and it's not about growing older, but it's about forgetting that you're still in there, you're still a child. God calls us his children, like, and we give ourselves such, like, I don't know, like, height in the world, like, yes, I'm trying to get to this position, and then we, like, even the people who are Elon Musk, I adore that man so much. And people were like, I want to be like Elon Musk. You know what Elon Musk said the other day? Oh, no, not the other. He said this a while ago. He's like, you don't want to be me. And as a psychologist, if a psychologist can analyze, that also means he doesn't really want to be himself. Like if he had to choose, you would not want to be who he is right now. Because what he does, he doesn't have time for happiness. He doesn't have time for joy. He doesn't have time to sit. He doesn't have time to sleep. Like the man doesn't sleep in his own house. He sleeps in the factory. He says, you do not want to be me. I am not happy. So it's this sort of thing that like society and just growing up itself, it can find, it's really easy to find destruction and darkness. And like,
The
it's,
first thing your mind goes to.
yeah, yeah. In my other podcast, I was talking and I was just like, it's so weird. Like if someone set out, like, I'm going to go on an adventure. There's person A and person B is like, person A said, I'm going to go on an adventure and go try to find darkness. I'm going to try to find sadness, guilt. I'm going to find things negative. That person just has to take like 3 steps and you'll find it, right? But person B is like, I'm going to go find happiness. I'm going to go find joy. I'm going to go find contentment. It will be an adventure because it will be very hard to find such things
Yeah.
in people. Because what you have is like, it'll seem like someone's happy, but they're not really. And then I read all about these like very isolated communities, and they're so happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're so joyful. I just read Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Light. Amazing book. You should read it if you have a chance. And if anyone, you should really try to read it. But he talked about how like he would go to these communities, like he will disguise himself, like he will take another name and everything. And it's like, just he does that for a mental, to release all these like the societal trends and all, like just release it and just enjoy himself, not being Matthew McConaughey, but like Jim. And he goes there and he finds the people like sometimes they don't even have food, and they're super happy. Like they're always smiling. They're You only sees their teeth most of the time because they're smiling, they're talking, they're enjoying each other, they tease each other, and you notice that it's not the way they find happiness is not through external things,
Mm-hmm.
but internal. And it's the fact that like also you have a community that people, they don't care about what you have, they care about who you are.
Yeah.
So you work more on like who you are. Can you produce happiness for other people? Because when you try to bring happiness to other people, you you find it yourself in a certain sense. And like with exercise, with eating food, like we're trying to get to a goal where we think that we're going to be happy, right? We're like exercising squatober or anything where we do, like we're trying to do it so like we get to a certain goal, we reach our goal, and then we feel accomplished, but then we don't.
You'll never feel it.
Yeah.
You're always trying, it's that runaway train mindset. It's when I get to point X, I'm going to feel on top of the world. Okay, well, you get there. Are you going to stop improving?
Mm.
No, you never stop improving. So if you shift it to saying, not when I get here, but when I make an attainable goal and I get to it, all right, that was one amazing victory. What's my next one? And
Yeah.
when you think about it in that mindset that you're always going to be improving, then you're always going to be working for yourself and trying to keep bettering yourself and improving yourself.
Yes.
And when I loved what you just said, that it's not about material things, because when you get to heaven, like nothing's going with you. Like it's who you are. And when Jesus is sitting next to you, like, are you going to be proud of who you are? Is he going to look at what you've done and say, like, wow, you did this in the world and you served others and you used the gifts that I gave you to change the world? Not how much did you weigh? How much did you lift? What kind of diet did you eat? He doesn't care. Like
Oh,
who cares?
yeah.
And when you think about that in the sense that when someone reads your eulogy when you pass away, it's not, I read this somewhere, and it was like, when someone reads your eulogy when you pass, it's not going to say Olivia Cardarelli, height blah blah blah, weight blah blah blah, achievements this, looks this. It's not going to say any of that. It's going to say, like, God willing, she was a great dietitian who changed people's lives, and she was a great mom and a sister and a friend, and things that are so much more to anyone else. Because if someone truly, truly cares about you as a person, it's not about what you can do or what you can do for them or anything. It's about how you make them feel. And Maya Angelou once said, and she's my favorite, favorite, favorite person, she says, it doesn't matter what you say, like, or what you do, it's going to be how you make people feel. And I think that at the end of the day, if you can go up to a person and you can change their world by just being a friend and being nice to them, and not what you say or what you do, or what you wear, or what you look like, or whatever, but how you make them feel,
Hmm.
that's, and you're set. You're good. You're golden.
It's I guess the sort of emotional legacy you leave that behind in this world.
Yeah. It's something you're proud of.
Yeah.
Are you proud of who you are creating?
It's like the way Mary Magdalene felt, like with Jesus Christ. In a certain sense, it's like you are mine. That sort of like just word. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I definitely understand that. Like it's something I've always just tried to understand in my life. Like yes, looking at it from because I try to understand things in the secular view too, because I have to, because I talk to a lot of people that aren't Christians, a lot of people who are they don't have a faith, and you have to kind of make sense of it for them, say, oh, like psychologically or philosophically, and like
Yeah.
with just emotions, with love and all that. It's like everything that I see that we're trying to do, everything that like people who even commit like some crazy atrocities, you can always go back to their childhood, and it's usually because of the lack of love. In some way, maybe it could literally have been a girl that this guy loved, right? And he thought he might have loved her, and like it didn't happen. And ever since he held that grudge in, and because of that lack of love, didn't know how to deal with it, made terrible decisions in life. I think a lot of things we do is for our emotions.
Yeah.
Our emotions are trying to have like a physical like a physical touch in this world in a certain sense. I don't know how to like word it.
No,
Um,
I understand what you mean.
yeah.
I do.
And like another thing is like just like with children, like I remember as a kid, like as I'll do my kid exercise anytime I want. I just like go outside or anything, even in the cold. I hate the cold now, but it didn't bother me back then.
Hmm.
Like because snow is just such a beautiful thing and everything.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing with food. Like I ate when I have to eat, dude. I just feel it. I'll run to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's certain like then with the intuitive eating. It's just like we had that before, and then as we grew older, like they're telling us structure your food this certain way. Eat 3 meals a day. Oh no, eat 1 meal a day. Eat no meal a day, and then eat the next day. That sort of thing. Like intuitive eating is actually pretty. it's, to me, it's
It's
fulfilling.
normal. Yeah, it is, but it's normal. Like it's so it's n- I can't stop saying it. It's normal because when did we lose trust in ourselves from before? When
Mm,
we were younger, we were so much less smart. We had so many, like, there was no experiences that we had. We just carried on. We ate what our mom or dad packed us or our grandmother packed us for lunch. We ate when we were hungry and we stopped when we were full. And if we didn't like something, we pushed it away. And
absolutely.
we didn't say to ourselves like, oh my gosh, like this is the time that I have to eat. I only have this time to eat and I have to eat everything that I have because I don't know the next time that I will eat.
Yeah.
And when you just start taking away distractions and in a world that's so fast paced, you wonder why we struggle so much with it. Because when we're sitting down eating dinner, we're like this, like, okay, and you're eating and you're on your phone. And then you're like, did I just eat? Like, I don't even
Mm,
remember eating. And you're with your family and you're not even paying attention to the people around you and what their day was like.
yeah.
You're sitting and you're studying, but oh my gosh, I forgot to eat lunch today. Like, I'm starving. I have to eat because I want to go work out. Like, and you're not like typing, studying, doing homework while you're eating, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so full, like I didn't even know what was going on. I just ate so much, or I didn't even know that I ate that. But
Mm,
when you take away those distractions and you remove them and you say, okay, this is my time to like sit down and eat with my food and be there and be present, it's like, okay, you ate half of it. All right, I'm satisfied. I'm good. I'm done. And you stop eating
yeah.
because you were present with what you were doing and you didn't have distractions. So you wonder why in this world we struggle because we're so distracted by everything that we're not even paying attention to what we're doing or what we're consuming. If it's food or if it's information or it's language from other people or whatever it is, make sure that what you are putting into your body is for your whole system, like
Mhm.
mind, body, and spirit. Because if you're putting in negative things, you wonder why the only thing that comes out is negative, you know?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like the calorie in, calorie out sort of thing. It's negative in,
Negative
negative
out.
out. And that's just, it's kind of scary to think about that. And there's like, I, for the past three weeks, I've been studying more of neuroscience,
Mm-hmm.
and I just found out many things in relation to like just how what we eat and like with our anxiety and sleep and all that stuff. And I think with sleep, I want to bring this up a little bit, and I just want to see your relationship with sleep. Are you like, because you said you're a morning person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So like, what time do you normally go to bed?
I would say it varies. During like the school week, work week, I would say that I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, and I probably fall asleep in. If I'm really tired, I can fall asleep fast. But I will say that I'm not a great sleeper, and I
Mm,
can mount that to my past and kind of an uneasy equilibrium in my body that still has not really figured itself out yet.
yeah,
And that's something that's a work in progress because I will fall asleep and I'll be up in the middle of the night and then I can't fall asleep. And then I'm laying there and I am restless and then I don't feel energized. And that is when I'm on my phone before I go to bed and I'm taking in information that's not helpful, that's just racing in my mind and the
yeah,
light and everything. But when I shut that off and I go, okay, now this is time, like, Olivia, unwind, like, now you have to really relax, then I'll sleep well. And when it comes to sleep, sleep is so pivotal to anything. Like, you were intended to rest. That is something that you need to do. And work and rest are not like, oh, if you don't work, then you don't need rest. They are equal of each other. You work, you rest. You rest, then you work. There's no work is here and rest is here. They are simply work and rest. And you
yeah,
will not be able to perform at your best if you don't have those in check. And a lot of us, especially in our generation, struggle from that because we're so out of whack, and we are not eating properly, so our sleep is messed up, and
Mhm.
we're working too much, so we can't find rest because this is priority. When actually, if you shut it off and you say, this is my routine, and I'm going to rest here, and I'm going to wake up then, and I'm going to study now, you will be energized for that. It's not a pick or choose one or the other. And at the end of the week, I'll finally have time to sleep in until 3 o'clock. Like, you wonder why if you sleep in until 3 o'clock, you're messed up for the rest of the week. It's
Yes.
really like self-care is no joke, and it's not face masks or like going out on Saturday with the boys. Like, it's not like that. It's self-care is fueling yourself properly, sleeping well, hydrating in more than you ever think that you needed to be hydrated, and taking in all good so that you can then emanate all good.
Hmm. Yeah. Just I really enjoy what you say about stuff like this. It, it definitely teaches me a lot, and like just seeing it in a different perspective, because like I've always thought sleep was very important, but also like for me, the reason why I tend to not go to sleep early is because like I don't want to miss something, which is such a stupid thing to think about. But it's weird. It's important. Like it's the way my brain functions. But one thing I noticed after like is like when I'm at school, I could go to bed fairly early, but when I'm home, like for a break or something like that, I tend to go to bed very late because like I'm on FaceTime or doing all that, and then like I'm on FaceTime till like I'm ready to go to bed, and then literally shut the light off after that. And I'm expecting myself to sleep, but I can't sleep because I had so much light in my eyes. So like one thing few things I've just been studying with that. I found out like to improve sleep is one thing I want to focus on too. Um, there's this guy you can check out. His name is Andrew Huberman, and he's a professor at Stanford University for neuroscience. He's such an excellent guy, outstanding. And his story, his story of just becoming who he is now. Like it's a story of like you're not your beginning, like that sort of thing. Like his dad was a physicist, and he grew up to be a neuroscientist. And but like his lab, he owns a lab at Stanford. He runs it, and he said like they've been doing many research into sleep and light. And light, I never understood how important light is until now. And light in relation to sleep and anxiety is powerful. So like just a few things. First of all, like he has this whole rule from well, at least if you're a young adult from 12 to 4, never like have any sort of light exposure like that. Like if you're trying to fix up your sleep, right, trying to deep sleep in the night, because you could like there's sleep can also be a fad, like 8 hours sleep, that's the perfect, it
Mhm.
does some people need 6, but some people will be okay with 6, some people will be okay with 10, some people will be okay with this, but it's about the quality of your sleep.
Yep.
They have like it's not about the quantity, it's the quality. It's the quality of your sleep. So he tries to research about the quality of the sleep, and he found out that light is the key to it. So like as you said before, when we're on our phones, um, when we're eating, like we could literally be just our our body doesn't respond to the food as well it should, right?
Mhm.
And it's because the second we turn on our phones, the light receptors here, the light receptors in our eyes turn on cortisol, that hormone. And also, if you have really terrible hormones, like it's very imbalanced, it'll be worse, right? Cortisol is just it's positive, but also negative. And when
Yep.
it's negative, it can be very detrimental.
Mhm.
So it turns it on, and it makes us primed, like really focus into what we're doing. And then you have the exchange of cues, and because dopamine, anytime you're using your phone, dopamine's on too, right? And it doesn't turn off, and it's on like
Yeah.
very high. So it's, yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, it's fascinating. I wasn't educated on that, and it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's so scary because like in the night, our, like, you know how we have this blue light blockers? Like I use them. I used the glasses towards the night. But the thing is, blue light is actually pretty good for you. It's not, there's no problem with blue light.
Mhm.
The problem is, here's the thing. Most people, like I didn't know this until I educated myself towards with what he had to say in his lab. It's the brightness of the light.
Mhm.
You can literally have blue light on. Yeah, blue light. You can have any wavelength of light. But if it could even be the amber light, and it could, if it's too bright, it will affect you the same way blue light will affect you.
Wow.
Nothing. It's about the brightness. So he says towards an hour you want to sleep, or the towards the 11 to 4 or 12 to 4, dim all your lights. Dim all your lights. But the key is when you do that, you go to bed and everything. When you wake up, the best thing to do is expose yourself, not to window sunlight, not to your phone light, but expose yourself to real light,
Wow.
photons. So outside. And there's this app that I started using, and I got so nerdy with it. It's called Light Meter, right? And
Cool.
it actually, it it checks the amount of photons in your environment.
Wow.
Yeah, you recommended it, and I looked at it. I was like, okay, because you said that the photons that come through your window is not as effective to wake you up, to because you need, when you wake up you need high amounts of cortisol to keep you awake and keep you focused in the morning, and then cortisol is supposed to gradually go down throughout the day. But when you get no barely any light, right, in the first few hours of the day, and then out of nowhere you went outside and got good light, your hormones become very imbalanced. Cortisol spikes in the wrong hour of
Makes
the
so
day.
much sense. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, after I like started listening to that, I was like, wow. So we
Yeah.
just do a lot of things. Like, yeah, but like he's not trying to like promote it as a fad thing. He's just trying to tell us this is why we're messed up in a certain sense, right? So like I did this, then I tracked the photons in my room, like room right now. Right now, there's a maximum of 40 photons here. 40 lux. That's the not 40 photons. The It's 40 right now,
You,
lux. That's,
yeah.
yeah. But when I went outside this morning, I went outside exactly after I woke up. I went outside, took in the sun. I just walked down around just for 2 minutes. Nothing bad, nothing detrimental. It was over 300,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that light receptor, like like I actually felt alert. I felt, well, apart from me, I have to go to doctors today because my physical, I was really alert. I was like, okay, I could take on the day very well. And also with that helps regulate your food, your the ghrelin, the hormone ghrelin too. So
Yeah.
like there's so, like with
They're
sleep,
all intertwined.
yeah, everything. Like
Everything. You are a whole system.
it, I don't know, like every single day, like just reading new things, just studying new things. I'm just like, should I do Invictus? Should I do Babs Advanced Nutrition? Should I do that? Like, I don't know. Like now, neuroscience. Like I've always been into neuroscience and physics in my life, but neuroscience. Anytime I read something into it, I just, it's just something about it. It's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Just with this information I found out, it's just like it helps now. Now I
But
just know the right thing to do in that certain sense.
but what's so cool about all of your fascinations and all of your interests and everything that you're excited for and passions, I sound like my mom when I go to her saying like, "Mom, I want to do 10,000 jobs and I don't know where I should focus." And the most amazing thing that we have is, and I'll leave you with this, you can do all of them. And in different seasons of your life, you can accomplish everything that you're passionate about, because if you truly have a passion about it
Mm.
and it's just like a spark in you that's somewhat of a curiosity, what's stopping you from pursuing it? You would
Yeah.
you have everything at your hand and
Mm.
at your disposal to accomplish anything that you want to, and change the way that you think to feel better about yourself, and change the activities that you do to provide you with a more functioning and a
Yes,
more fulfilling life. It
absolutely.
really all starts with you. And like, if you, I mean, it's hard. It's like, okay, practice what you preach. But if you really take, at the end of the day, that like little spark or that little fascination or that glimpse of like, I want better for myself, not for anyone else, but for me individually, I can achieve that, no doubt. I can
Yeah.
attain anything. And like, how cool is that we can have that? How
Uh,
cool is it that we can do anything that we want?
it's it's awfully very weird too.
Yeah.
But I don't think sometimes we just, I guess we get overwhelmed and we have so many in our minds, so much in our minds, and just
That's
don't
human
know what
nature.
to. Yeah.
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 It's normal. You're not alone. And
No.
when you realize you're not alone, and you and I can empathize with each other and show compassion to one another for our successes and our endeavors and our failures and our interests. When you have those people that you can just bounce off ideas and share creativity, then
Yeah.
that's like when you truly build meaningful and important aspects of your life.
Hmm. I love that. I really appreciate it. And that goes for all of you audiences. Like it, as it says in the Bible, ye are gods. Like we are the image, we're creating the image of God. Like God literally communed with three, and he said, let's make them in our own image, in our own likeness. So
Yeah.
like we have so much power that God has given us, and we're here to protect this earth too, technically. And we do such a devastating job doing it. But I think each and every one of us in our hearts actually do want to do right by our people, right by our earth. So it's just one day at a time. I, that's why I try to give myself, because some days I'll work too much and I don't have time to like actually do what I want to do. And I'm just like,
Give yourself grace.
yeah, just one by
Because
one.
one by one.
Yeah. But I am very thankful for having
Thank
you. Like,
you. This was a privilege, honest. I really, it's sometimes good to kind of get back and check with yourself. And when you talk about experiences or things that you need a friend to have advice for, like
mm,
sometimes just talking rather than
yeah,
keeping it all piled up in your brain, just
no,
let it out. And
we're not meant for that.
this was really beneficial for that. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for me. I
And I
appreciate
hope you gain more knowledge and wisdom throughout your life.
it.
And
Thank
God
you.
bless you. Thank you for sharing your story to everyone here and me. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.